You're about to listen to Beta 01 of Lane to the Future, the show where David Moore and Curtis Lane take a look to our future. This is Beta 0.1 and has some rough edges and is still in beta, so please enjoy the beta, brought to you by the Moore Daily Podcast Network. This is Lane to the Future, the show where me, David Moore, and my good pal...
You can't put me on the spot like that, really.
That's Curtis Lane, and this... is Lane to the Future, where we take a look at what's coming in our future. Today's theme, robots.
Sound like that.
It'll sound like that. This is Lane to the Future, and my name is David Moore.
I am Curtis Lane.
And I just want to start out today's show with talking about what this show is. This show is a show that I've had an idea for quite a long time, to make predictions.
Predictions.
Look at the future.
How far in the future are we talking now, Dave?
We're talking several segments here, Curtis. We're going to start with how things are today, which makes us think these things are going to happen in the future. Then we go to about 5 years in the future. Then we go to about, 10 years, where things start to really change, considering that smartphones, as we know them today, as a dog barks in the background,
son of a bitch,
that the iPhone only came out about 7 years ago.
Really? It's been that long.
And that's it. And the technology that exists in that is pretty much the standard. And that kind of evolved pretty quickly.
I wouldn't put that as the standard.
If you look
standard for smartphones, yes.
Yes.
There's still a lot of standard phones out there. You got to put that into consideration.
Right. But if you walk in a Verizon store...
Yeah, true.
They're going to be, here's an Android phone, here's an iPhone.
Here's another Android phone, here's this. Here's all these touchscreen phones.
And you don't want anything but an Android phone or an iPhone, because if you don't have that, you're lame. Personally, I miss my keyboard, and I don't like swiping up and down glass all the time.
I like my keyboard on my phone.
Yeah. And
you've seen my phone. It's the $40 phone from Revel. It's not the most technological piece of thing out there, but it works.
But it's the technology that changes, and it's the future that we want to take a look at in this show. We're going to start with our current segment, and today's theme, as I said in our intro, is robots. Now, we don't have a lot of robots. We have a few kind of robots.
We have robots. Honda is the main robot we have, we have now. I guess you would put that as the standard, virtual intelligence robot, I guess.
Yeah, and that's about...
And it's not great. It's fallen over 4 times trying to go upstairs.
And they have those robot battle things that...
That's controlled by humans still. We're talking it can think on its own, which a lot of things still can't. There is that one on Jeopardy. I don't remember what it's called. You know what I'm talking about?
Right.
But that even makes errors.
And it's just a database full of answers.
It's a giant Google search.
Right.
That's basically it.
That can do it on its own.
Yeah. It's going search now. Okay.
Then we've got those other robots, the little vacuum things. The
Roombas and whatever.
The Roombas or My Vacuum or...
Have you ever noticed that some of them are actually made by... You've seen the movie iRobot?
Yeah.
They're made by Robot Incorporated?
Yeah.
That's great. I love how they did that. I'm thinking, oh, great, we're going to be overrun by those in 20 years.
What do those things cost? $200 a piece or something?
Something like that. They're as bad as Dyson fans.
Yeah, and they're going to break.
Yeah.
They don't look... they're
not good. We've gotten a trial one before at my house. They sent us one. You send it back with your review.
Oh, really?
It's really cool. But at the time, we still had carpet.
Right.
Dude, it was horrible. The thing didn't clean anything.
It didn't.
It doesn't work.
It didn't work.
They work on hardwood, laminate, and that's it. And ceramic and stuff. It doesn't work on carpet.
And the problem is that they're expensive and they don't work. But they have to get around corners and stuff. And I know there's
round
sensors. There are sensors that detect space around them.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to work, but it just looks like eventually it's just going to start running into little stuff. Yeah. That constant beating of being smacked into a wall is going to break it further.
And what if you have a dog?
Yeah.
And the dog doesn't like it. That's going to be gone in a few days.
Right.
You just paid $300 for a chew toy.
Yeah. Or if you're my dog and you just get on your knees and bark every time the vacuum's on, he just... just scary
Yeah,
scariness. They're either extremely afraid of it or it's
a toy.
yeah,
Either one or the other. But either way, they're still going to bite at it.
right.
That's the problem.
And I mean that's about the only robots we have in our current.
Well, like, it also depends on what you classify as a robot.
I consider a robot based off the song 500 Robots by Hypnotic Clampbank, which is a great song.
Yeah.
That the only future I want for robots is robots that do specific tasks.
Like what? Like, you thinking as in, like, have you seen the movie Flubber?
Yeah.
Okay. How, like, it makes his toast, it wakes him up,
Right.
it makes eggs, stuff like that.
Yeah, like that kind of stuff. But I don't want a robot that.
Well, like, also, if you think about, this is going back to what you classify as a robot. If you look at hospitals, they have machines that breathe for you, that feed you, that make your heart work.
Right.
You got to think about that. Is that a robot?
Does it think on its own?
No robot, I believe, can think
Today.
on its own.
Today.
Yet.
Scary, the word in there is yet. Yeah.
I'm
And-
afraid of virtual intelligence. Truth be told, I am very afraid of virtual intelligence.
Right.
Because once you give it a thought, once it's able to think on its own, it's going to realize, why am I taking orders?
Right.
I'm stronger than this. That's not a good thing.
It's gonna be another civil war, but
Against
the
robots.
that we
My
made.
toaster is going to, like, throw toast at me. It's going to, like, rebel, like in Futurama, where all the electronics and stuff just throw crap at you.
Right.
You want some coffee? Out of coffee!
You think you want coffee? I'll show you one in coffee.
Spray it all over you.
Right.
There's that kind of thing, you know?
Right.
It's just sometimes a scary thought to have of robots.
We're gonna jump to our next segment, Curtis. Sorry to interrupt
that's
you.
fine.
But we're gonna go to about 5 years from now.
5 years?
Yeah.
So it'll be the year 2017.
2017.
All right, I don't think we're going to advance that much, you know? It's only 5 years. If you look at what's supposed to happen in, like, Back to the Future,
Right.
supposedly we're supposed to have hover cars and shoes that tie themselves by now, you know?
Right.
Speaking in the matter of fact that we're in 2017, speaking in that case, I'm going
Right.
to say, like, it's in the present now.
Right. So movies that came out in like the 60s said that we were supposed to have
a bunch of stuff.
robots and teleporting and beaming and
Technically, they do have teleporting. They can teleport people. Or they can't teleport people. They can teleport molecules
yeah.
and atoms. The only problem is they implode when entering the new realm.
Right.
They go. I don't know what happens. They go away and come back somewhere. I don't know the technical science of it, so I can't really talk about it.
Right.
And all I remember is they go away, and then they end up somewhere else, and they implode.
And that's
not safe for a person to happen to, I don't think.
it's gonna be like Spaceballs where we get teleported and our heads are on backwards
That would suck.
and
Or it's going to be like in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, you get beamed across the room in a million tiny pieces and reappear on a screen 2 inches tall, you know?
but you have to admit that the day that we can pull chocolate bars out of our TVs is a pretty cool
Oh,
future.
yes. Imagine that for the cooking channel, man. The Food Network. Oh, my God.
Don't say that.
I'm just going to be
You
there
know how
like,
fat I'll be?
oh, yeah. I'll be just rewind, playback.
There better not be TiVo.
Oh,
or
God.
For
We'd be
digital
so fat.
digital food.
Like in Wall-E,
Right.
regenerative food buffet.
Right.
Oh, God. I don't think we're going to get that far in 5 years, I think it was. So
Yeah.
where we're going to be is probably basically in the same place. I think computers will advance a little bit more. They'll do more. There'll be more programs. iPhones will have more capabilities. Phones overall will have more capabilities.
Speaking of iPhones,
Hmm.
we have a thing now currently called Siri.
That, I don't know where to put that in the realm. That's not completely virtual intelligence. It's more speech recognition.
Right.
Like, my computer can do that, and it's not Siri. It's like, I have an old Dell.
Right.
Like, I can be like, open internet or whatever, and it'll open Internet Explorer.
The difference between Siri and a voice recognition software, though, is that Siri responds to you.
Yeah, but it also has preloaded responses.
Right.
You have to remember
Well,
that.
several preloaded responses.
Like, if you say, I love you, it says, I'm not built for that or whatever.
Yeah, I'm not built for that, or if you say, Siri, I'm horny, it's gonna go, I'm not that type of assistant.
Exactly.
And like, but
I feel like in 5 years they're going to make an attachment for when you say that.
right. Ooh. There's our robot hand or
Oh, God.
something else that.
You know what I'm talking about. The little light thing that everyone talks about. It's not a complete light because it doesn't have a bulb. You know what I'm talking about.
All right. So, but I
But
think
let's get off that.
I think software is gonna advance.
Oh, yeah.
And
Software is definitely going to
in the next 5 years, dude.
I think hardware is going to advance too. We're going to get better screens. I don't want to push it this far, but they might go away from the screen more or less, make it smaller or like really thin,
Right.
like some of the TVs out now.
Right.
I don't want to push the fact of a hologram, but they have made them so far,
Yeah.
like the Tupac thing.
Yeah.
So they do have really, what's the word I want? Really, I mean, they have really crude holograms, so that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You know, like how it works is they have a projector. It's kind of like a periscope ability. They take it, they project it on a mirror, and it hits a screen in the back. But it has 3D depth, is what I'm talking about. It's kind of weird, but it's cool at the same time.
Like they just, it's like there's space between the screens that shows the space between, or
It's the depth within the projector. They have a special projector for it
that's really,
that has depth. It's like a 3D projector, I guess.
even though like the stupid 3D movies that suck.
Yeah, they suck. It's not worth going to a 3D movie.
And then in the next 5 years, the most rapid change I think we both agree is going to be software.
Yeah.
And we were talking about Siri.
Yeah.
Now, Siri's still in beta.
It is.
So it's technically not a full-blown program. And I think within the next 5 years, we'll see Siri doing things for us. By that I mean, if you have to schedule a doctor's appointment, Siri will call the doctor's office and speak to the person on the phone.
That would creep the shit out of me, though.
But that's like in the next.
That's like those automated phone things. That
It'd be like an automated phone system
I
that
hope
did
those things
stuff.
get better.
They're never gonna get better.
I hope
they're just gonna get worse,
I
and then they're
wish
gonna
they would.
die.
Like at least make it kind of like a real person. Like make it like Siri. What is your name? Curtis.
Don't you love when CVS Pharmacy calls you? This is CVS Pharmacy trying to reach David Moore.
No, the best. I like going into customer service a little bit. Just off topic, big note.
Right.
The best one I've ever gotten was either Virgin Mobile or Huntington.
And why is that?
Virgin Mobile, I was on the phone for at least 45 minutes talking to some Indian woman who had the most heavy accent. I couldn't bear it. It was horrible. I couldn't figure out what she was saying. I just stopped and went, manager, manager, manager. And that was about it.
Speaking of customer service, Curtis, all I can say is that they're the worst. It's the worst experience anybody can experience. I had to deal with Microsoft.
Oh, God.
That's all I can say is seriously. All right, here's the deal. I have a Mac.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't noticed, I'm an Apple fanatic.
Apple fanboy, we know.
And I openly admit that. There's this thing called Boot Camp, for those of you who don't know, that allows you to run Windows on dual boot, meaning you can boot Windows or into Mac OS X. All I wanted to do was take my old Windows license that I paid for. I paid money for this stupid Windows 7 license when I had an old computer. All right? I want to take that license and I want to install it on my Mac because I had to trade back in that stupid Windows piece of crap that Geek Squad screwed up. But I don't blame Windows. I don't blame Microsoft. I blame Geek Squad. Okay?
That sucks.
I had to call them because my serial or product key was invalid. Okay? This is invalid because it's already been installed on one computer.
Whatever.
This license costs $130.
What?
One freaking computer. It can be installed on one computer, one time only.
That's where the money is, too, you know?
You know what happens when you buy a version of Mac OS X?
What?
You pay $30, and you can install it on every single Mac you own.
That's how Dell works, too.
That's how it should always work.
With my laptop, I have a Dell. I'm mainly PC, but that's just personal preference.
Right.
And, they gave me the computer, and then I sent for an installation disk, which they send you, which
Right.
is bare bones it's Windows 7 Service Package 3.
And this is a pain in the ass, let alone that you have to order it.
Well, you order it just because it's free. Like,
Right.
you order at Best Buy, you're like, yeah, I'd like to have that. That's great.
Yeah.
And they send it to you.
That comes
And
in a box with a Mac and that came. And,
I'm
and
not-
I shouldn't say just Mac. I mean that came with my Asus.
It might have
desktop.
come with the computer. I sent for something. It might have been something. It might have.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I sent for the Microsoft Works thing.
Okay, yeah.
That was the backup thing because I wanted that just in case. The Dell thing came in the box.
Right.
My bad. But like, that's so much easier. Why doesn't it just come like that? And I can put that on any computer I want.
Right. I mean, you might be putting it on something that's not a Dell,
But
and you're gonna get the Dell bloatware. But all the
yeah,
same,
that stuff sucks. I deleted so much of that crap.
back to Microsoft customer
Yeah.
support. One, it took me about a half hour to Google this, and we all know how fast Google is overall. And once I finally found Microsoft customer support, I call them, and the first thing you hear is, "Hello, my name is Steve." No.
Your name is not Steve.
Your name is Alfranjo Mohammed, but I don't know you're gonna get there. And I go, he's like, "What is your problem?" And I'm like, "It's this simple. I had a Windows computer. I don't have it any longer. I have a Windows 7 disk. I need a valid product key because I need to install it on another computer." He goes, "Well, we can help you do that, but first let me ask you, do you have any other computers that run Windows in the house? Because this is going to help you do this." Yes, I have other computers that I do not use because they are pieces of junk and they are made by HP and they are horrible and they're running Windows XP. He goes, "Well, let me take a look at those via remote and I will tell you how we can get your product key working on your other computer." I go, "I don't really need to look at this other computer because it is 7 years old. It's a piece of junk, and I don't care about it." He goes, "Well, computers are supposed to last like 10 to 15 years, sir."
Oh,
And I'm,
bull. They're
no, not anymore. Sorry. Processors are just not going to keep up at 10 to 15 years.
well, 10, 15 years. Your computer's obsolete. This what is it? 20 minutes after it leaves the store.
It's 5 now.
It's 5 now.
Yeah.
It's bullshit.
It was 20.
It's supposed to last 15 years. Yeah, the model is. It's not gonna be. It's not gonna be up to date.
It's not going to run modern software by then.
Half the freaking computers in the store are already obsolete
Yeah.
because. No, wait, isn't it 5 minutes after they get them?
No, it might be 5. No, because it's 20. It's 20. It used to be 20 when you took it.
Okay, I'm just thinking
So-
like the floor models and crap like that. Okay.
Oh yeah, the old ones. I mean, unless you go in and you buy the top end, hardcore,
Yeah,
highest processor stuff, you're not getting what you need.
yeah, which kind of sucks.
Anyway, I let this guy remote access that computer. It only took 20 minutes to turn on because it's a piece of junk.
Mm-hmm.
This guy turns the computer. I turn the computer on, and he says, "Go to this website." I go, "Okay." I had to make him repeat this website 16 times because I can't understand the Indian voice. He is going to control my computer, and he only says that he's going to control my computer about 16 times. He also tells me that he's not going to go through any of my files.
Bull. He went through them all.
No, but okay. He opens up and installs a security package. And this security package runs a scan.
All right.
And he shows me on my computer screen that I have over 3,000 viruses.
So.
This is what I told him. Is this computer's a piece of junk. He goes, "Well, we can give you a service package that'll fix this for $170 a year." And I go, "I want a product key for another computer so I can run Windows, so I can run a stupid program that I have to run for a stupid school, and I don't want to deal with this." He goes, "Oh, well, I had to transfer you to a whole nother section of Microsoft's customer support." They helped me in 5 minutes.
Why couldn't they just do that in the beginning?
Right. You want to tell
That's
me?
BS.
Yep. This is customer support. This is why we need robots that actually work. Now, if you call Apple customer support, you get this wonderful little, and it's not wonderful. I shouldn't say wonderful, but
It's more helpful.
a voice recognition software that understands what you're doing. It's about as much as Siri understands what you're doing. And you call it and it goes, "What kind of product do you have?" And you say, "iPod Touch." And he goes, "What's wrong with your iPod?" Say something like it doesn't turn on. You just say whatever you want. You could say it doesn't turn on. And he goes, "Well, let me transfer you to somebody."
Done.
Boom. Human being. Done.
That's kind of okay. Speaking of the same thing,
Yeah.
But going back to humans, how I like them kind of a little bit better in the situation. When I called my bank,
Yeah.
I was having trouble, and I was thinking I needed to set up a new account because I was becoming a veteran on Cha-Cha.
Right.
And I wanted to set up a new account and get a new checking account and stuff. So I call them up, and this is at 3:30 in the morning, Eastern time.
Wonderful.
And I'm expecting to be shipped overseas and stuff like that. No, I get a very nice lady who can speak perfect English. I don't know what nationality she was, but she was like, "This is Huntington customer service. How can we help you?" I'm like, I was baffled by the fact that I got a human being
Right.
and the fact that they could talk English or speak English. It was crazy.
Right.
And they were so helpful. I was done in 3 minutes. Had a
Right.
new account, knew everything, even online. It was great.
Customer support like Apple or even things like that, even if you speak to a robot, it's getting better.
Oh yeah,
The robots are getting better.
robots are definitely getting better with that stuff.
If Siri could make those calls for you, if Siri could call a doctor for you and schedule your appointment, you tell Siri, based on your calendar and everything else that it has access to,
Mm-hmm.
what you're available, when you're available. It confirms it with you. And you don't actually have to speak to these people, because sometimes this stuff is ridiculous.
Yeah.
If you could tell Siri to go talk to that Indian person, and because Siri understands multiple languages,
Mm-hmm.
this person could speak in their native language to Siri. Siri could speak back in their native language to them and solve this problem.
Real easily. That'd be
And
great.
that software
that.
can exist in 5 years.
I could see that happening in 5 years. I could.
Yeah. I mean, Siri's a work in progress, but that's kind of what I want to see in, like, voice recognition, kind of, personality based
Yeah.
robot reaction. And that'll probably happen in like 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
What scares me is what's coming up in our future, which is in the future in our next segment, which is 10 years from now.
All right, so 10 years from now we're in.
Yep.
I don't know what we're going to do in 10 years, man. I really can't see that far into the future as in, like, technology, because how we've been going, as in the pattern of technology growth, it's been exponential.
Yeah.
We have no idea of what's going to happen. We could have, like, heck, we could have just projector keyboards, which I know we already have, but like projector computer screens,
Right.
touchscreen computer screens that are on the wall,
And Google Glass and all sorts of
that
stuff.
kind of stuff. Yeah.
And this is getting back to why I want to do this show. It's
Yeah.
because we want to seriously consider this.
Like
Ideas is what's going to keep making this happen. It's people being inspired to make things to work the way they want to.
yeah.
One of Apple's mottos, God, I'm going back there, but they say they make products, and this is what they say, so don't even call me on this, but they make products that they think they want to use.
Yeah.
And robots, 10 years from now.
Robots 10 years from now.
In 10 years, hardware will increase.
Yeah.
What they can do with hardware.
They can do pretty much a lot right now. It's just, it's real crude is the problem. I think they might slightly perfect it.
Right.
Like, I wouldn't say perfect it. I would say it would, like, get a lot better, you know?
Right.
But, like, I could see that Honda robot that's doing all that stuff be a lot more fluent in motions
Right.
and stuff like that.
As we learn more about how the body works, when we learn how to make robots that learn how to move. Meaning,
Yeah.
like robots, and this is my theory, is in 10 years we'll have robots that are capable of movement.
Like fluent movement, you mean?
Right, like they will move the same way people move.
What I could see, as in really, which would really benefit people, is, you know how they have those robotic fake limbs, the robotic fake limbs? I can't.
Right.
I don't remember the name for
They
it.
make like prostate legs.
Prosthetic, that's it.
Yeah.
But like, I could see in 10 years them actually having a moving arm or hand connected to your brain in some way, shape, or form, like by radio waves or whatever, that would actually read your brain waves and make the hand move
Right.
in a certain way.
So we're
which
saying
would be very productive to a lot of people.
where I think this is going to get shady in 10 years is just because the software increased in 5 years
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean the software will catch up with the hardware by then.
True.
So what
But-
we're going to see is an increase in software. The software is going to get held up to me. This is my theory.
All right.
Software is going to stop
Mhm.
slightly. I mean, it'll never stop, but it'll slow down. and then the hardware will overtake it, and then it'll do the same thing like the
They'll
app
just keep doing it
the
that
app
way.
store where it didn't exist, and then every day somebody comes with an app that does something else.
Yeah.
We have to make the hardware for the software to do the things.
Yeah.
So the hardware has to exist, but software is going to keep increasing for 5 years. Then
The hardware will increase.
the hardware will
increase.
increase within the next 5. It'll be happening during this whole time, but
Yeah.
it'll be there at the 10 point, and then we're going to have to wait another
I could just
quite a
see
few
all that.
years.
I could just really see the prosthetic thing happen though, because
Right.
they already have things that slightly read brainwaves.
Right.
So if that would catch up, they could do it completely and just complete the circle.
But could we read brainwaves in 10 years?
We can slightly read them now.
Right.
It's just what frequency they're on, what the brain is doing.
Right. And I think it's still a very complicated.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying it's not complicated. You have the ones that we have are still crude. They have brain like a little cap you put. It's not a cap. It's basically you put a beanie on your head that has a crap ton of wires in it, and it reads your brainwave patterns
Right.
of what you want to say or something, which is a way of reading your mind almost,
But
but not completely.
this technology has to.
Oh,
Fans can and based on the last 10 years,
Oh yeah,
we're
yeah,
going to say that this could actually happen in 10 years.
It could, but it couldn't at
Right.
the same time. It's the fact of how much money would have to be put into it, and if that money's even there.
Yeah, it's the money in today's economy even there.
Ain't even happening.
Right. It's not there completely yet. But we're saying 10 years prosthetics being advanced.
I could see that happening.
We're
a
saying
lot.
hardware being advanced.
How do you see cars in 10 years? That's what I'm thinking, you know?
I could do a whole show about cars.
Yeah, but
But-
let's just cut it real quick. Let's see, like,
Speaking of like robots,
yeah.
no,
Like you said, hardware was going to advance. Like, there's a lot of stuff in cars now. Like, they have GPS built in. They got OnStar built in. They have...
Google has cars that drive themselves, and
Exactly.
they've openly came out and said $3,000 more to every car, and it would drive itself. That's it.
I'll pass on that. I'm sorry. For somebody like you, I don't know.
Right, as being visually impaired and being somebody who
Yeah.
doesn't see as well, and sadly being 20 years old and not being able to buy a car or drive my own car, it's kind of getting a little bit bummer-ish.
Yeah, I get you.
The thought of cars that drive themselves has only been in 2 accidents kind of blows my mind.
Yeah, but how long have they been around? Can I ask you that real quick?
Like 5 years.
And they've been in 2 accidents.
2 accidents.
2.
5 years.
How many cars were built?
Like 12 or something.
12?
Not a lot. And,
So
there might be more.
The
And
ratio is still pretty bad. 6 to 1.
But
For every 6 cars out there, there's going to be
for
one
those
accident.
2 accidents,
It was somebody else's
it was
fault,
the other driver that hit the car.
Okay.
So it wasn't the car that drove itself into another person.
Okay.
And that's the interesting part. And I might not be right on these numbers. Google's been working on it for quite a long time, and they kind of hide stuff like every company.
I would bet, yeah.
But I mean, they released a video a while ago of a blind guy going through a drive-through, and they were sitting in the car with him, and it had a big Google sign on the side of the car. And the guy was so happy that he could go through like Taco Bell and like.
I would, if I was speaking, I can't say this of experience, but I know that in a couple years, because of what I've been told, I may go blind, or I may be visually impaired to the point where I can't drive anymore, so I kind of know where I'm going to be.
Right.
But I kind of get what you're saying, like how that would help you, and it's totally positive for people with visual impairments
Or other disabilities.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Like the people who can't get a license, the mentally retarded,
Right.
blind.
Every person in the world has a need to get places, and
Yeah.
and I mean,
But they would have to make it more inexpensive,
now,
because the people who have those disabilities don't always have that kind of money, is
Right.
the thing.
but a lot of this is paid for, like being visually impaired. Like I've seen doctors and things that are covered by insurance.
Well, yeah.
So would the extra $3,000 of the car, the extra $3,000 that is a larger, would that be covered by insurance to add to a car?
I don't know, maybe.
I mean,
Or would they supply the car for you?
right.
Would it be covered by government aid, maybe?
Would Google just start handing out free cars that drive themselves to blind
I doubt
people?
that.
Well, Google.
Dude, they're trying to make money.
Google's currently, according to the last time I checked the stocks on the iPod, it says that Google's still the most valuable company.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if they really wanted to, and I know they don't have as much bank as like Apple or
But
you
they're
know.
still pretty valuable
But
out
they
there.
they're valuable enough, and they could spend the money.
Yeah, but
Google used to lose $1 million off YouTube a day because
Really?
because the server cost too much when they bought it, so they were
Oh.
losing money every single day. That's why the original people who made YouTube sold it in the first place.
Mm.
So if they can lose that money on YouTube to just
Well, you know they flipped it around. They're Google.
well, yeah, and then
They've
they flipped
changed
it
that
and
crap.
sold ads. Well, if you want to put ads on my car, but it drives itself,
And you're probably not even gonna see them anyways. You know.
and other people are seeing them.
Heck, if I would
hell,
do that.
Hell, if my windshield has transparent ads that come up on them, and I'm
Yeah.
getting a free car,
Who cares?
I would be fine. Now, speaking of robots, because this is the theme of the show, do we want the car to drive itself, or do we want robots to drive the car?
You would want the car to drive itself because the car is the robot, in the technical term. Because the car is gonna think of what action to do.
Right.
It's gonna think where to go, what's the best route. It's just like Google Maps in a little car.
But would a robot be more acceptable to communicate with?
Well, you're still gonna sit in the driver's seat.
Right. Now, in the sense that the car drives itself. Now, if we have a robot that drives the car, is the robot able to think more like a person? Is that a good or a bad thing?
Well, if you integrate the robot into the car,
Right.
we're talking like that Men in Black thing where the guy's sitting in the car and he's the driver, but then he gets sucked into the car, as in a robot driving. Or are we talking robot driving as in the robot is the console of the car?
We're talking about a physical, human-shaped
Robot
piece of
driving.
metal that sits in the driver's seat and drives the car, like a person. So,
So
like,
we just take
basically, you have a driver.
So so you basically have a robot driver that you put in the vehicle. You can put it in any vehicle is what you're going
Right.
for. Oh, that's a tough one actually.
Would you prefer that over the car driving itself?
I would prefer.
Because I feel
I
like
don't know. That's tough.
because like Ford makes cars that assist you driving, like seats will vibrate
That scares me.
when
though.
cars are nearby, or
Something happens, like a little beeper comes, or my
Right.
dad's car does that. It doesn't have any of those features.
honestly, that makes me nervous.
Those make me nervous. Yeah.
Like
The-
Ashley's car, when you are driving over a slippery area
Mm-hmm.
and you slam on the brakes, the car if you're turning, the car assumes, now this is the scariest thing ever, that you need to stop.
Mm-hmm.
The car will start steering for you.
No,
Yeah.
it's not even that new. Of a
It
car,
doesn't.
though.
It doesn't. It basically it locks it. It doesn't let you steer. It doesn't start driving for you. It
Oh.
will. It'll lock you into driving one way. So if you're turning, it'll turn you that way because it assumes that you need to turn that way.
That's
It's a little
Ah.
nerve wracking.
that is a little nerve wracking.
I mean, it'll kick back in and let you take over, but and it'll slow you down. But like on a highway, if you're going around a turn, it's pretty freaky.
Yeah.
If you were slowing down and you weren't slowing down right, and it'll think that it knows what's best.
That's
And
kind of weird.
That's why I want the car to almost drive itself completely.
Yeah.
But people, according to Ford, and this is a quote from the CEO he said this, is that people don't want cars that drive themselves. They want cars that help people drive.
I could deal with that. I
I
could kind of agree with that, but I could also disagree with that at the same time. Like, I personally don't want the car to do anything.
Right.
Except I would love a rear-facing camera to help me back up. That'd
And
be great.
these exist.
Which are great.
Yep.
I like some of the little sensors, like my dad's car sensors. It
The
beeps.
seat to vibrate or
No,
something.
it beeps ever so lightly. You barely hear it, but when you do, it's because you're like 5 inches away from the curb or something.
Right.
It's a parallel parking assister. I don't like the thing that it does it for me. I don't like that.
Yeah, and see,
It takes away the need to do it. You need to be able to know how to do those things, though.
this is why a robot driving the car might be more acceptable.
Yeah, because then...
Because then you feel like you're in a passenger seat and something's driving for you.
Yeah, I kind of get where you're coming from, though.
If you're sitting in the driver's seat and the car's driving itself,
You feel vulnerable,
the people who already know how to drive
Mm-hmm.
would feel vulnerable.
Yeah, they'd see you and be like, oh my god, is that guy not driving?
It would,
Especially when it first comes out.
it would either scare other people or
what
the
if-
people who bought it who already knew how to drive, because it would still I mean, just because they invent things for people who have disabilities, just
Yeah.
because people end up using them. So say that these cars were originally intended for people with disabilities.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean that the average person
Couldn't
won't.
get their hands on one.
Right. And then they're driving the car, but they already knew how to drive before. Would that
Yeah.
make them eventually start to feel uncomfortable because they feel like they might be a better driver?
Sometimes I would think yes.
For me, and my standpoint, not being able to drive, I would prefer the car to drive itself. I'd also like to be able to sit in the driver's seat so that I know that there's a switch that I can hit to take over if I know something's going to go wrong.
Yeah. That's
But-
kind of like how I would do it if I were the driver. But I'd also have that secondary feeling like I would like someone there because I feel safer in the passenger seat.
You feel safer in the passenger seat when the car's not moving itself. That's if you're alone in this car and it's going through the
Right.
drive-through for you,
I'd want to be in the driver's seat.
it would make you nervous.
It would make me nervous to be anywhere else.
Right.
Because it'd be like, what the hell?
Yeah.
You know, you just have one of those situations.
Where you just there'd be this overbearing little
Voice in your head.
voice in my head saying, "I'm a better driver. I'm a better driver.
Yeah,
I'm a
yeah,
better
yeah,
driver. I'm a better driver." And being me, that would never happen because I'd never know how to drive. I'd always feel like I was in the passenger seat. But for those who already know how to drive, it would,
It would screw with me.
yeah, it
Because
would.
just gotten my license and figuring how good of a driver I actually am. Like I'm not saying I'm the best driver who ever put his foot on a pedal, you know.
Right.
I'm decent. You know, I know when to turn, I know when to get away from somebody when you think they're drunk, you know. You know how to avoid things.
Right.
You know how to stop. Basically, that's it. And if there's a computer that's doing it for you, I would feel like I would constantly be saying, why did it do that there? Why didn't it do this instead, you know?
If there was a robotronic person doing it,
I'd be yelling at that person.
well, you'd be yelling.
I'd be like, what are you doing? Stop turning! And it wouldn't be able to hear me, probably, because it'd be like, shut up, you stupid idiot. And it'd probably turn over and smack me with its robotic arm. You know, one of those things.
I think being a person who knew how to drive, I think I'd prefer that over it. I think, and I know this because our good pal Jeff, who runs a decent part of these shows,
Yeah.
is when he sits in a passenger seat of a car, I can see him like tapping his fingers, like
He
cringing.
doesn't like it.
He doesn't like it anymore because
Especially when I was driving his car.
he drives everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, all the time.
I feel like I would feel that way, too, once
And-
I get driving more.
Right, like, and the question is, would you feel? I feel like even the physical person holding a steering wheel, robot person driving the car might feel more comfortable with somebody like that because they already know that person has different habits.
Yeah.
But if the car was doing it,
It would make them really nervous, probably.
it would freak them out because there's no physical being there. Now, in what our next segment is, about 100 years from now,
Oh, God.
where we're already dead,
Yeah, we're dead. I'm dead
This-
and gone.
this doesn't freak people out, probably.
No.
And I think this is where the segment will go, is what will freak people out then.
I
We're-
kind of feel like in 100... Are we staying on cars?
No,
Or-
we're just sticking on robots
On
here.
robots? Okay.
We'll get back to cars.
I have a feeling in 100 years, this is just my thinking, because I've seen it in a lot of movies and such, if we already have cars 10 years from now that have virtual intelligence that they can think for themselves,
I'm thinking cars.
I would have no problem with thinking in 100 years that we would have robots that have virtual intelligence doing what we used to do for ourselves,
Right.
which really scares me in the fact that it takes away so much of your independence. Like I'm kind of saying, like, if like in Wall-E you're basically a blob sitting on a chair,
Yeah.
completely relying on computers and robots. I'm not thinking that so much. I'm thinking as in, like, we still walk, but we have something doing everything, something cleaning, something cooking, something. We have lost the need to do things.
500 robots in my house.
Yeah. But, like, just think about that. We would lose all of our being, basically. If the robots haven't already taken over the world already by that point.
Man, you
We
don't-
have lost all of our capabilities to do things. We are no longer useful in this world, in a point, if that happened. We're, like, basically just here.
Then this is my theory.
Okay.
If we got to this point
Mm-hmm.
where robots did everything,
Yeah.
we still have to learn stuff.
We'd
And
have to learn, like, history and stuff.
People
but-
learn different traits. Now,
Yeah.
currently, we all learn different things.
Mhm.
We all learn what we want to do. I'm majoring in making movies and radio shows.
And I'm in the health field, so.
And you're in making pharmacy, giving people drugs.
Yeah, everybody like drugs. Be it healthy for you or not, everybody has their own little thing.
Right. So, I forget where I was already going with this.
You were going with, man, I don't remember. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Crap.
Um.
Something about how they would do everything, how we would learn.
Oh,
Learning.
yeah. Okay. We were talking about learning. If we're all learning our own individual traits right now.
Yeah.
If robots do everything that we do now, there's a robot pharmacist. There's a robot.
Where would we be even needed?
Now, there have to be. No, I'm going off topic again, so don't let me forget the education thing.
Okay, education.
Movie people. Humans would have to still make stuff.
Yeah, we'd still need creative
There'd
minds.
still be creative people. The other people, for example, Jeff, who's being an electrical engineer, the only other thing you need to learn is how to fix robots.
Yeah.
Would that be what everybody would learn?
Maybe.
And
Well, like I'm thinking like what jobs would be available even.
there'd be creatives and there'd be repairmen.
And I'm
Because things that went
and
wrong.
there'd be the consumer, who would buy more stuff, and it's that's a horrible cycle too. That's a horrible cycle.
But let's pretend that the world's perfect.
Oh God! All right.
This is my vision of 100 years from now. If robots did everything, and this would be perfect.
All right. Go ahead.
People are lazy,
Yeah.
but not so lazy that they won't fix stuff. Okay, so there are enough people in the world. Now, there's enough people to fix broken things. So there's enough people who would fix the broken robots for free, because they're willing to do that
to get the reward,
so that they could have what we all have, is a wonderful life without money, without problems, without.
But then on that same topic, I want to.
Then we're going into scary utopia land.
Yeah, this is scary utopia. But I'd also want to say that how many people are we saying in 100 years? If we still have, 4 or 5 billion people on this planet?
Right.
Are we going to need 4 or 5 million repairmen?
No.
Exactly.
But there's enough.
We don't need all those people. So what is going to be the cause of having all the people?
Right.
This
is where it has to be perfect utopia land.
But there isn't a perfect utopia. We're going to be screwed because the freaking robots are going to be in so many numbers.
And greed's going to take over, and people are going to be like, you have more than me, but you don't do any more than me, and I hate you.
Which is like the communism idea. But that only works on paper. It doesn't work in real life. Human greed will always prevail. There will always be that one rotten tomato.
In high school, I had a teacher named Floyd McDivitt.
All right.
If he ever hears this show, he'd probably laugh his ass off. But he spent an entire week talking about how wonderful communism was, because we didn't know anything about it freshman year.
Communism isn't a bad plan. That's
no,
the thing.
no,
It's
it sounds
people
wonderful.
destroy it.
He spent an entire week talking about how wonderful and perfect it was. We came in on Monday, and he goes, "Here's what's wrong." He had us sitting there all going, "Huh, everybody getting the same thing? That sounds kind of nice."
Yeah.
No argument?
All equal?
Sounds kind of nice.
No, it doesn't work that way.
It'd be wonderful in if it worked.
There's always the ones that it's like a little puppet show. There's always the ones on the top playing with it, going,
Right.
I'm going to take a little bit money from there. I'm taking money from here. This person's going to get a little bit less.
Right.
I need more money. I need this. I need that. There's the big government officials and crap doing that, playing with that.
And there needs to be some way to do that, but there's no way to make everybody fair, and there's no way to make sure that somebody gets this.
Because someone's always going to think they're better than someone else.
Right.
There's no way to stop that.
There's no way of a world without competition.
No.
And there's no way to settle competition in a communist world.
Going into competition a little bit, how they tried to stop it. This is going back way far. Okay, there was a lot of things like, how in some little leagues now, there's no winner, there's no loser. They don't keep score or whatever. It's trying to boost their self-esteem.
Right.
They actually did a study with that. They proved that, the study ended and they proved that self-esteem does nothing. It does nothing. There was just as many serial killers that came out of the control group that was regular people, and that came out of the study that had their self motivation and
Right.
self esteem held up. And if the only thing that was different was when interviewed, the people who were serial killers, the ones with high self esteem, felt good about what they did.
And that's horrible.
And that's a horrible thing. They felt like they were doing the right thing because no one ever told them they did something wrong or that they were a loser or anything like that. Sometimes you need that. And going back to the robots, yeah, I'm just sorry.
I know.
A side topic that I had to bring up.
We're going all off.
We're going all over the place.
But that's good because this is how I want this show to be. 100 years robots.
100 years robots.
Question. Do you want iRobot world where
I don't.
they're human beings?
Oh,
Or do you want my perfect world where I walk in my house and Siri goes, "Hi Dave, how are you today?" And I go, "I'm not that good." And they go, "Well, what
Why
could I
not,
make
Dave?
you for dinner?" And it's not a human being, it's just a little voice inside the house.
So it's
a
kind of
robot.
like
Smart
the god
house.
of your house.
Right,
Almost.
right.
But then you have to think of the negative side to that.
Like it's
What
gonna
happens when it gets a virus and you walk in, it goes, "Hello,"
No.
and something bad starts to happen once it locks all the doors and starts being evil.
Siri, I'll be back. I'm going to go get coffee. I can't let you do that, Dave.
Exactly.
Right.
Oh crap. You try to leave, it won't let you leave because it gets super self-impulsive.
Right.
And
Or
then
what's that?
self-aware.
Seeded or Infected House. It's a movie. It's an old movie. It's from
I
like
don't
the
know.
60s where the computer in the house decides that it's going to impregnate the wife with a demon seed.
That thing, yeah. I've
Demon
seen
seed, and
that.
it's like a half baby robot thing. Oh,
That's scary, man. That is really scary.
or the old Disney movie Smart House.
Those are scary, man. No, that's really scary.
Yet I still love the idea of walking in my house and going.
It'd be a great idea. It would be it would need to be perfected before it went out.
right.
It couldn't be like some of the computers now. They have so many issues. You can't have that. That thing would have to be ready. Have to be it would have to be perfect. If
In
it
100
wasn't perfect,
Yeah. In 100 years, could a
something's gonna go
software? In 100 years, could software be flawless?
no.
No.
Software will never be flawless.
Right.
That's the problem. Because we are human beings, because we created it, there will always be a slight flaw with it.
Now, what about within 100 years? We have robots that write software
Then there's the same thing, Dave.
because
Robots
because
are
we
created
programmed
by
it.
us.
Right. Got it.
We made the robots, therefore they're going to be just like us.
Right.
They have their issues too. We're going to have a mentally depressed robot, you know?
Right.
They're going to be like robots with schizophrenia. If we completely copied, say we completely copied the human brain into a computer,
Right.
and it was able to think, it was able to have emotions, which is a weird thing to have. This is going really far into the future.
I don't want to program emotions into a robot, no matter what.
If a robot was able to have emotions, it was able to feel pain and ecstasy.
Right.
How scary would that robot be?
Yeah. This is where I don't like the.
This is
theory
where you
of
don't
robots.
want to think about this
Right.
at all.
This
'Cause
is
you're
where I
thinking-
want robots to die, and 100
Yeah.
years from now, we live in wasteland because we killed all the robots
And they
with a
killed us.
nuclear war, and there's like 6 people left in the world, and they have to reproduce the whole world over again, and we have to recreate technology because these people weren't very smart, and this is where this has to go because when robots start fighting us, we have a problem.
When the robots rebel, we're screwed, dude.
Right.
it
Because we
that way.
can't fight robots.
Okay, going on what robots run on. They run on electricity right now, right?
Yes.
How dependent are we on that right now? We're using it right now
If we
to
didn't-
light this room, to use the filter in the fish tank, to record this.
Right.
What happens when electricity's gone?
In today's society,
Yeah,
we're dead.
we're pretty much dead.
Well,
Refrigeration is gone.
right.
Prisons open up, and all our old friends come out. You know, all the rapists, murderers,
Sadly, I
serial
don't
killers.
Thankfully, I don't have any prison friends.
You know, that's great. Yeah, I'm just saying, like all the other people who are ill
Right.
are out.
Right.
Because all our prisons are running on electricity. They have electric locks, and once electricity kicks off, guess
Boom.
what happens? Boom, they're out. There's rioting in them, and you know it. Because there's no cameras, there's no electric fence anymore.
Do you think in 100 years we could be so reliant on robots that we couldn't take care of ourselves?
Possibly.
Yeah. And that'd be a scary thought.
There was a book, I can't remember it. My sister read it. And I'm a secondhand knower of it. It's basically your idea, the house, but in a next gen thing. The house takes care of you.
I'm scared.
In the fact that you're sitting somewhere, you're basically an amoeba. You eat, you poop. That's basically all you do. And you do things in your house, but like the house does it for you almost. Like you say, oh, I want to play video games. It puts a little helmet on your head and you play video games. That's it.
I still love the idea of walking in my house and
Well, yeah, that's a great feeling.
My little robot voice in my house going, "How are you today, Dave?" And I'm like, and it's like, "Well, I can make you anything you want to eat," and I'd be like,
and then
yes.
And then it pulls up, "Would you like me to run you a nice bath or something?"
Right.
It does something to make you feel better.
But
it takes it to the next
idea.
situation. It takes care of you completely. It does your health. It does everything else. But then the fact is, the leading cause of death is fires. Because the house can't extinguish fires. That's
my God.
That was the leading downfall of people. Like the houses would heat up, burst into flames, and you'd die.
That's ridiculous.
That was it. That's your life. You're dead.
That's horrible.
That is horrible, and that scares a lot of people. That scares me. I don't want to be completely self-reliant on my house to do everything. I don't want to poop in just some random place when the house gets rid of it, even though it does that. I do that now. Like, you go to the bathroom, it's a specified place.
Right.
But I like it just goes somewhere. It's gone. I'm not relying on a machine to do it for me. No, like, I don't want a tube up my butt pulling out the poop out of me, That'd be nasty. That'd be kind of scary.
I love the thought of robots doing things, because if robots can be programmed, we can lack programming emotion. And I think if we get to this point in 100 years and we've seen enough iRobot movies, hopefully people are smart enough to not program emotions into people.
Well, that's
robots.
That's one of the other things. You don't need emotion, though. If that robot becomes self-aware that it can do whatever it wants, you're screwed. Same thing in iRobot. Once those robots figured, oh my God, why am I taking orders?
Right.
I can do this for myself. I'm stronger than them. Why am I taking orders from them?
I still love the idea of walking up to the McDonald's register and not speaking to an annoying human being who doesn't know how to say, "Would you like fries with it?"
I wish that the things that, like, fast food places, I wish there was like a little screen you could push what you wanted.
And you swiped your credit card.
And you swiped your credit card or gave it cash.
And then
a little machine.
And a person on the other end. I don't care if it's a human at that point. A human gives it to me because I just don't want to interact with this person.
Some people shouldn't be doing that kind of stuff. Some people are so low on the food chain. Like, there are those people. Like, I went to a Popeyes a couple days ago.
Right.
And I ordered, what was it? Well, my mom and we ordered 16 pieces of chicken.
Right.
And we got 4 sides. We got like rice, 2 potatoes, and whatever. The fact was, we didn't get what we ordered, and we were standing right in front of the manager.
Right.
And we're like, we want this, this, and this.
Yeah.
We got 12 pieces of chicken. They screwed up our sides, and we got nothing else.
Yeah.
And we're like, what the hell?
Yeah,
it's the lack of basic communication skills that it could just be Siri.
Right. Yeah.
That's the problem. The people who cook
Siri understands enough, even in beta stages, to know what I'm saying about food.
So does my computer. If I say fries, drink, this,
it got it.
It knows what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But if it's like somebody who can't understand basic English,
right,
who has like a 3rd grade level education,
right,
they shouldn't even be working there.
The weird lady at McDonald's that I go past every day on the way to school. There's 4 registers.
All right.
There's a very nice gay guy. There's a big old black lady. There's a young black teenager. Yeah. And a big giant black manager.
All right.
I'm not even claiming races on this. It's just that I know that teenage girl in the middle will screw up my order.
Yeah.
Every day. Every single day. Now, this McDonald's is the worst registered McDonald's ever because there's no freaking lines. This was stupidity created by people.
All right.
Okay? Robots wouldn't have done this.
Robots created by us wouldn't do this.
There is a big long counter.
All
All
right.
right. Just picture this, people. There's a big long counter. Then there's about 3 foot of rectangular space back on this counter, and in the middle of that rectangle is a big McDonald's sign.
What?
Yeah. What?
Point? Why?
So there's nowhere to stand.
That's bullshit. Why would you do that?
Right.
Why?
So you can't make a line. The best
make
day,
a blob.
the best day was this big lady comes out and goes, get in lines, get in lines, get in. There's nowhere to make lines, lady. Okay?
We
Look,
can make blobs.
there's a blob here waiting to order food, and there's a blob next to them waiting for the food that they pick up between the registers.
Exactly.
This is the only way this is possible, and there's no way to fix it.
And you can't expect lines in a fast food place.
In Tower City.
In Tower City.
and I'm not and okay, look, let's just be honest. I am hating this McDonald's.
I'm not hating on fast food though.
I'm not hating on fast food. I'm
It's
not
good,
hating
but-
on every McDonald's. I love McDonald's. But this McDonald's and the McDonald's next to Tri-C and the McDonald's on 117th.
It's always come back to McDonald's. You are hating on McDonald's. Man.
Okay, I
You are
love the
hating
McDonald's
it.
on Sloan though. They have never screwed up my order, not even once.
All right, let's make something perfectly clear though. We have to make this clear. We're not hating on the people who work there. Some of them shouldn't work there,
Right.
but some of them are really good, hardworking people.
No,
Let's put that out there. We
The-
gotta put that out there to make sure people know.
yeah, and so nobody who listens to this show should be offended, especially if you
no.
work there, and especially if you think I'm talking about you. I'm probably not.
Yeah, I'm not talking about anybody.
The manager at the Taco Bell. Why did I say Taco Bell? The manager at McDonald's
Mickey D's.
at Tower City is a very nice man. He is. Every time, and literally, I go to McDonald's like twice a week. At least once that week, they will screw up my order.
Wow.
Always. And I don't hate this McDonald's, and I don't hate the people who work there, but they do screw up my order. This guy is very nice, and they have fixed my order every single time.
Well, that's a good thing. Yeah.
It is frustrating that I have to get the order fixed in the first place, but they have always been very nice and fixed the problem. What irritates me is I swear it's just a lack of communication.
It's just it's a lack of communication skills.
It-
They just don't hear you correctly,
And I
or they just can't comprehend what you're saying.
seriously, like you go through a drive-thru and you pull up to the window, there's a screen that says what you've ordered.
Yeah,
That's wonderful.
they need to have that
At
there.
at the register.
Why don't they
Because-
just have that instead?
Right, it's either do that, which
'Cause
is
that way-
technology that can exist right now.
Yeah.
Do Siri, and then have Siri confirm it with me,
Mm-hmm.
because that would work.
If the people
Now,
who
voice
work there would
recognition's
just
not-
do that,
Voice recognition, I don't care how far we are into the future, 100
Yeah.
years,
it's still
10
gonna
years.
have errors.
it's never going to work in a loud place.
No,
Okay?
unless you walk up to a secluded microphone and say what you want.
Right.
Like, say I just walk up to a microphone. I'd like 2 cheeseburgers, a large fry, and a chocolate shake, or whatever.
Right.
Be like, and then you hear it in a little microphone or a little speaker. Did you order this? And it comes up on a screen.
Right.
That's what you would want.
Right. And
And-
then I walk out and I go over to a counter and pick it up from a person. I still want people to make my food.
Or then you could always like walk if that's not like your order. Say it's wrong and say no, and
Yeah.
say then it would come back and say what is wrong with the order.
Right.
You know, and it would comprehend what you would say.
And Siri already comprehends what you say. That's the difference between like Siri and most voice recognitions.
Yeah,
is
I
Siri,
understand.
Siri responds like based on like human language. Like you can go, "Is it gonna rain?
And it would comprehend. It looks like it's raining.
It looks like it's raining." Or, "Do I need a coat today? It goes like it's pretty warm outside. You're probably pretty good."
Yeah.
And that's the difference. Is that's how it needs to be.
I could handle that in my house. That would be nice.
Could
When you're about to leave, you know, as a little console.
do we want robots to just understand emotion and not have emotion? Is that possible?
You could understand. They could have that. Like in iRobot, they understand high levels of stress in your
Right.
voice. Because, like, in your voice, it has different decibels of sound. Depending on what emotion you're feeling, the decibels change.
Right.
And the pitch of it changes. Like, if you're kind of sad, you kind of feel like you're a little down. Your pitch is going to be lower. Your decibels are going to be lower, too. And your wavelength is going to be longer.
Right.
So there's that. And like when you're happy, you feel you're a little peppy, you know, you're a little happier, you know, you're walking around, you got a little spring in your step, you know,
Right.
and then so on and so forth. Those are the two basic emotions, happy and sad. You know?
It's like the people. Now, we all know this. If you're sad, and the person you have to interact with is sad, it just makes you angry.
Oh yeah.
Now, a sad person will also bring a happy person down.
Yeah.
I've had a bad day. As most people in the world have probably had a bad day. I've gone to the wonderful McDonald's that screws up my order every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I have also dealt with the cash registerist, or whatever the hell, cashier, and they're in a bad mood.
You're just
If
it's no fun.
if we're in a bad mood, we're going to be in a really bad mood.
Yeah.
You screw up my order today, we're going to have a problem.
Well,
and if I'm already in a bad mood, I'm not afraid to show it.
exactly. You're one of those people that's
I'm willing to admit to this person
that you're angry.
like and I've done this to people at McDonald's, is I'd go, they screwed up my coffee, right? Okay, they
Mhm.
screwed up my coffee the day before, all right?
Mm-hmm.
It was super watery and super gross.
Yum yum.
I had to get it replaced.
All right.
I came in the next day. I was in a bad mood that day.
Uh-oh.
And my response to this woman, and I feel bad about this, but because I'm already in a bad mood,
Yeah.
and this person has this dirty look on their face, like they're mad at the world. I'm already mad enough, and it's almost it's their attitude that makes me get madder. It's like if they just gave me a bright smile and said, "What's wrong?
Or if they said, "How's your?"
Do you want a coffee?" Because I go in there pretty much I get a coffee at least every day.
Yeah.
They pretty much know I want coffee. If they go, "Welcome to McDonald's," my response is, "I want an iced caramel coffee, and don't screw it up like you did yesterday.
Oh God.
Like, I want enough caramel in it so it doesn't taste like water like it did yesterday." And that's what I say, and it's like, well, I just pissed this person off.
Yeah, and then you just ruin their day.
Right.
And then in turn, they kind of ruined your day. They probably screwed it up again.
Well, actually, every time I've ever complained,
It gets fixed.
it gets fixed, and that coffee came out, and it was extra sweet and very yummy, and it
And
made
then you
me
felt
feel
like a dick
made me
afterward.
feel a little bit better, and made me feel like a dick. But
Well, like, I get what you're saying because I'm on the other end of that.
right,
Like, I work at a gas station.
okay,
I always try to look I at least try to look like I'm a little happy.
like no matter how mad,
Like you try to give them a smile. You say, "Have a nice day, sir," or you're like, if it's a person who looks down and they're buying cigarettes, you card them because like you know they're old enough, but you want to make them feel young.
right,
I do that to a lot of older women because most of the time for some reason they look down, and because I'm not technically supposed to ask people how their day was because I'm not a psychiatrist or anything. They're like, "Don't ask them about their day. We got to get people in and out of here." And I'm like, "Okay."
you work third shift though. At 3 in the
know.
morning, you could ask.
Dude, there's a lot of people there. You do not know that there's a lot of people there.
really
Around on Saturday, oh God. I don't get time to sit down. I don't get time for a 2-minute break.
okay,
I don't get time. There's
Right.
like people, especially from 10 to 12. Oh my God. But like you get those people who are sad. Like say I get a woman who looks like she's in her mid 40s or something like that.
okay,
She gets like I'm like, "Hi, how are you?" She's like, "Can I get a pack?" She's like down. She gets, "Can I get a pack of Marlboro Lights in a box?" Sure. Go over, bring them back up. "You know I'm gonna have to card you for these." She goes, "What?" She goes, and I go, "Yeah, you don't look 18 to me.
right.
You definitely don't." And you just make that person like laugh a little, give them that little chuckle thing, you know. You make them feel better.
Even though they're like 80.
It doesn't matter.
Right.
That's the thing. It does not matter. I'm trying to make people feel better.
Right.
I'm trying to make them come back.
It's
You know, it's
it's-
just that situation where I just like, and it makes you feel better because you made that person happier.
right.
You know.
It's that return, and that's a major part of robots.
Mm-hmm. They
Is
wouldn't be able.
no matter what, this robot should always treat me like they're in the greatest mood ever.
Exactly.
No matter how mean I am, no matter how horrible I am, and that's another. We're gonna get onto this. If we're speaking to robots and
Mhm.
we're treating them in this attitude,
Yeah.
if I'm in a pissed off mood, and I'm in a pissed off mood most of the time, let's just say,
You are, man. You're horrible at that.
would that start to teach people to treat other people with an attitude?
Mm.
in a regular basis.
It would secondary teach them. It would teach them that it wouldn't do anything. So when they do interact with people,
Right.
they're going to treat them like shit.
Right.
And then that other person is going to be like, well, what the hell's wrong with you?
Because
And
they're a
gonna
human being.
And they're going to go, whoa. The thing at the coffee shop never yelled at me. But then they'll probably realize computers don't act the same.
Right.
It's just they have to figure out the difference between talking to a human and talking to a computer.
But it's like the difference between, like, we all used to go to each other's houses. Now we all talk on the
Text.
phone. And then we went to texting.
That's-
The lack of communication and...
All right, I gotta tell you this. This is funny.
All right.
Okay. First, we had the telegraph, right?
Right.
We tapped out our messages.
Right.
Then we had the telephone. We talked.
Right.
Then cell phones.
Okay.
We talk still. But now since we got more into texting, we tap out our messages again. We're going backwards now.
Right.
We need to go a little bit forwards now.
Yeah.
We need to go full hologram would be perfect.
Full hologram
Hologramic phone. That would be cool.
or video calling.
Video calling is already around. I'm talking about I'm going back to the 100 years from now.
Right.
Hologramic calling.
Yeah.
That would be cool. Not
We
pre-recorded.
we could do a whole
talk to-
show on phones. Okay.
Yeah.
But
I'm just saying, that would be cool. I'm just thinking of that other thing. I was just
Yeah.
like, wow, that'd be sweet. If I could stand and literally feel like I'm in that person's house. Like it's a virtual reality thing almost.
okay.
And I wouldn't be able to do anything literally. Like I couldn't open a door or anything like that.
Right. The hologram
But if
thing
I
is-
could be in that situation, I could feel like I'm there.
Right.
It would bring so much more connection between people. Like imagine if you were say you're in the army or whatever and you're overseas and you get to see your wife
Yeah.
and you get to see her fully. Imagine how good that would make you feel. You'd be like, "Oh my god, my wife looks beautiful today."
Right.
You know? Or, "Oh my god, she's got 40 curlers in her hair and she has face cream all over her face."
Right.
Or something like that. It would bring it to a whole new level.
Right.
And then you bring it to another. Once again, going completely really out of here, you teleport there
Right.
and be able to feel that person.
Yeah, that scares me. But
Or you could have gloves on in the hologram and you could the thing would sense that you're touching something.
Right.
And it could send a feel sensor into your hand and it would be like you're touching that person,
right.
which would be really cool.
Technology that doesn't exist. But
Technology
could
that doesn't exist, but it would be sweet.
Right.
Just having that feeling, it's like, what did you do today? I touched my wife's face. If you're a Marine and you're across the seas and you've been over there for, say, 8 months,
Yeah, that's a big
and you
deal.
can say that, that's a huge deal for you.
Right.
It might not be a big deal for, people who see their wives every day. It'd be like, well, whatever. You're thinking that person hasn't seen their wife in 8 months.
Right.
They got to touch their wife's face.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. That's great. That'd be a great idea, you know? That's the technology I would like to have. That'd be great.
Robots.
Robots again. Well, it's slightly a robot.
Yeah. No.
I'm not going completely off topic. Trying not to, at least.
There was that story, and I don't know if I don't even know if I made this up in my head or not. Wasn't there a kid who was his immune system didn't work at all, so he couldn't go to school?
Oh, Bubble Boy.
No, well,
They made a movie about that kind of thing.
but there's the he controlled a robot that went to school with a camera that was on it,
Oh.
so he could see everything.
I remember.
and people
I
could
know where
see
you're getting
him.
that. It had a little screen of his face. I don't know where that's from, but I saw that on TV.
And that technology, I think, can exist
That can exist.
today.
Yeah,
But
but it's not
we
that
could-
hard. It's
but we could-
basically a remote control car with a TV attached to it and a camera.
A really fancy remote control car.
Oh yeah.
and
I'm just saying that's the basis of it. It's a remote control car with a TV and a webcam on it. That's basically it.
but the technology could advance in 100 years. That
That could actually happen. Yeah.
yeah,
But then you gotta think we would never have to leave our homes. We could have a robot getting our groceries, a robot that would go take us to or basically bring the school to us. It would take schooling to a whole new level, because if everyone had that, everyone could be on the same level of intelligence finally.
no, try to be a human being here.
All right.
I'm just trying to.
And also, I'm thinking of a perfect world. Everyone would be the same intelligence. We're still gonna have people who don't have those abilities.
Right, and I'm trying to view the world here as people are generally good, which
Isn't always true.
if
but we're
you
trying.
know me, You know that I don't actually view the world that way.
I've found out there's more nice people out there.
No, there are.
There's still good people.
And
They're hard to find, but there's still good people.
I'm like not diehard, everybody's evil and the humans need to die.
No.
That every bad person in the world needs to die, and that's like 90% of the population. I don't believe that, but
Including like some people we know closely.
right. I believe that there are a reasonable amount of people who are bad people.
Oh yeah.
Now you've made me get on my rant of how horrible I think society is.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But and I remember, if we're talking about people controlling remote control robot people to do things for them, I feel like that wouldn't take over.
That's kind of like...
I feel like it'd be technology that would be used for reasonable situations that everybody would have access to, like being ill or sick. I feel like the technology that, if that existed, that people could control other robots to do things for them, it'd be used within reason. I think going out places and doing things is still going to be a human pleasure, and that's believing that humans are generally good and are not that lazy, and that people would still want to walk down at the store and still go eat a piece of ice cream out of a
piece of ice cream.
A piece of ice cream out of the...
Yes, so we're going pieces
a
of ice
very gross frozen thing out of a gas station next to the counter that you walk past and go,
I want that.
That crunchy, strawberry, gross, frozen
or you look at it,
ice cream.
And you go, ooh, a chocolate taco.
Right.
Yum.
Like what?
I want to try one of those, but
I feel like no matter what, that... And then
the only thing is, like, once we become so dependent on robots, like, say we become completely dependent, people aren't going to go outside. They're not going to know what to do anymore. They're not going to do any of those things anymore. It kind of saddens me that we're going to lose all of our humanity with that.
That's the difference between saying that I control a remote control...
And a robot controls me.
And it going to take it to school when I'm sick so that I can still participate... versus a robot walking down the street and bringing me back ice cream.
Yeah.
And that's the concern.
That is a big concern.
And
we don't want to become too dependent on robots that we don't have to do anything anymore. But we just want them to simplify our world.
Right.
That'd be a great way to put it.
And in 100 years, I think we could do that.
But you don't know that's in a perfect world, too.
In a perfect world where... human beings are
generally smart.
Wonderful.
Yeah, they're not.
Yeah, it's never going to happen. But I think it's possible.
It is possible.
I think we did a pretty cool show here, Curtis.
I'm pretty happy with it. I liked it. It was fun.
I think that it's a show that will continue to go off topic, but I think that's the kind of show it's going to be.
That's what happens with shows. We go completely off topic, though. Even the best shows on the radio go way off topic.
Right.
We're human.
We're
imperfect.
Human. We're not like robots.
Yeah.
So I am David Moore, and I have 500 robots in my house.
And I'm Curtis, and I don't.
This show was brought to you by the More Daily Podcast Network. I hope to see you again here.